As soon as Reds management saw Eugenio Suarez pull up to spring training with this hairdo right here, I feel like in that moment, they knew exactly what they had to do. A trade had to happen. Jesse Winker is going over to the Mariners. That was the first tweet that blew up from Jeff Passan. And then it was later discovered that not only was Jesse Winker traded, Eugenio Suarez was included in this package as well. So this is the second blockbuster trade of today. I put that in quotations because I'm not sure if people consider Jesse Winker to be a superstar, but in the batter's box, you can't really find 10 to 15 better hitters over the last few seasons than Jesse freaking Winker. He has basically been a mini version of Christian Yelich, and I'm talking about prime Christian Yelich, and we'll go into the stats later because they are ridiculous. Now, the one thing I do want to mention in today's video is this little hashtag right here, hashtag free Joey Votto. Joey Votto, he needs to get sent. I don't even care if it's the Yankees, I don't care if it's the Cubs, I don't care if it's the Padres. Free my man Joey. The Reds are actively tanking, and they don't get fooled. This is a complete salary dump in terms of Eugenio Suarez because his contract has been nothing but trouble ever since they gave it to him, and they wanted to get as much value out of Jesse Winker, so they turned that into a package. But do not get it twisted. This is the Reds choosing to tank, and it doesn't matter if the owners got a deal in the CBA that favored them 10 times over. Owners, specifically cheap owners and small market owners like the Guardians, like the A's, I guess you can put the Reds in that conversation as well. Teams like the Pirates. I'm so sick of these teams giving up on their fan bases. And to me, you deserve better. Joey Votto deserves better. So hashtag free Joey Votto. Now, let's go ahead and get into this trade. The Mariners, they picked up Jesse Winker. We'll talk about the impacts of acquiring Jesse Winker in just a second. But he had 39 doubles and 36 home runs to go along with a 392 on base percentage and a 140 OPS plus over the last 2 seasons combined. He has been a monster. And then you have Eugenio Suarez, who, wait for it, I can't even believe I'm saying this, has the most home runs in baseball over the last 4 seasons. More than Mike Trout, more than Nelson Cruz, more than Aaron Judge, any other power hitter that you can think of. The only problem is, over the last 2 seasons, his on-base percentage has plummeted. A combined 293 on-base percentage over the last 2 seasons. That is horrifying. And when you factor in his really bad defense, he kind of became a liability, not gonna lie, over the course of 2021. So Reds fans, they appreciate the efforts that he gave them a few years ago, but that contract was looking pretty stinky. So again, I'm going to remind you guys, this is the Reds moving off from Eugenio Suarez because of his salary and factoring in Jesse Winker because no one was going to take that salary. So they had to move Jesse Winker, a star, borderline superstar hitter. And that's why I feel so bad for you. You moved off of Sonny Gray. You didn't give Wade Miley the opportunity to re-sign, and instead he leaves for, what, $10 million? You don't think Wade Miley is worth $10 million? The Reds have taken every opportunity to tank, and even though the CBA is pretty fair for both the players and the owners, they are showing that they don't really care about the whole rebuilding process, even though they've been rebuilding for the last few years. That's how they justify it. The A's maybe not so much because they're kind of a Kroger's version of the Rays. The A's make the playoffs. They just don't go far into the playoffs like the Rays do. And plus the Rays gave Wander Franco $200+ million. So you can't really compare teams like the A's and the Rays to each other anymore. But let's go ahead and break down what the Reds got. They got Justin Dunn, who has a 3.94 ERA in his first 102 innings pitched. That's pretty good, right? Well, when you look at the advanced metrics, he has a horrific 5.61 FIP. FIP stands for fielding independent of pitching. So let's say a pitcher went full Satchel Paige and told all of his infielders and outfielders to go into the dugout and he was going to get the next 3 outs all by himself. Justin Dunn would never be able to do that because he doesn't strike out a ton of guys and he has a terrible walk problem. So Justin Dunn is going to the Reds along with his buddy Jake Fraley, who had a pretty good 2021 season with a 352 on base percentage and 10 stolen bases in just under 80 games. And as you can see, he plays some pretty solid defense. Moving on over to a prospect, Brandon Williamson. He had a nearly 14 strikeouts per 9 and a sub 3.5 ERA in single A and double A combined last year. And then if we're talking about what else they got in terms of the Reds, there is a player to be named later. We have no idea who that is right now, but once upon a time, the Cleveland Guardians, or the Indians as they were known at the time, they got Michael Brantley from the Brewers as a player to be named later, and the Reds are claiming that this guy is going to sweeten the package and not really be perceived as a tanking trade right now, just to shed money. They are very excited about this player to be named later. We don't know who that is right now, and neither do the reporters, but if that does break before this video goes live, I will try and update you. But again, this is a Suarez salary dump. He makes $11 million over the next few seasons, and he has a $15 million option in 2025. And again, this new CBA, it could have favored the owners 100 times over, and teams will find a way to tank and call it rebuilding at every chance that they can get. Well, at least the small market teams, that's why you have to respect the Cardinals and the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Red Sox and the Yankees, teams that consistently spend more and more. Even the Padres are coming around lately and spending. The Chicago Cubs, heck, I've even seen the Cleveland Guardians in conversations for Matt Olson. That didn't happen, but they were at least in talks, and also Jock Peterson. So maybe we're going to turn a new leaf as an organization, a new team with a new method of doing business by developing players, which the A's do really well. The Reds do a pretty decent job as well. It's just when it comes down to re-signing superstars, all that they've really done is give Joey Votto a massive deal, and I'm glad that they did that. But at this time, in regards to Joey Votto, you need to get my man out of town. Please, for the love of God, save the remainder of his career. Send him to the Yankees. I don't care. Include Luis Castillo. Just get him up off the team, and I feel like the game of baseball will respect you a whole lot more as opposed to just tanking and making Joey Votto suffer through the final years of his career. Now, this might mean that Mitch Haniger will be on the move as well if we're talking about the Mariners, because they don't really have room for him anymore with Jared Kelenic and Kyle Lewis and J-Rod after he gets called up. And they're going to have Ty France and a few other guys as a designated hitter option. So to me, Jesse Winker is going to be the left fielder or a DH, and maybe Ty France is going to have to learn to play second base or be another position. I don't know what they're going to do. Kind of a weird trade, but I'm glad it got done, considering it exposes that even with a decent CBA, owners are going to find ways to tank. And if you were ever on the owner side, this is just another slap in the face to us fans that they just don't really care about winning. They want to churn some profits, and by doing so, by trading away Suarez and Winker, they save $40 million. So I guess you did your job, GM of the Reds and the owner of the Reds. Just so bad. Now, I just want to mention that apparently Kris Bryant was a huge piece of the Mariners offseason predictions, but now that is not going to happen, in my opinion, with the addition of Eugenio Suarez. So if you're a Mariners fan, what do you make of this trade? Are you happy that you got Jesse Winker, even if it means losing out on Kris Bryant? Because let's face it, Eugenio Suarez back in the day was an all-star caliber third baseman. If he can find his groove again, this is a fantastic trade. I honestly believe that Kris Bryant would have been great as a member of the Mariners, and now it's coming out that the Rockies are involved with him. Could you imagine KB in Coors Field? But to me, this is a Scott Boras tactic to drive up his price so the Phillies have to pay more. But that does it. This is the second video for today. I had to push off the Tatis fractured wrist video again, so look for that tomorrow morning. I don't like to post more than 2 times a day, but thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there. Whew. It's craziness right now in the game of baseball.